Hello, my name is Sam Torno. I'm going to be doing a toolbox talk for you guys today about hand and arm vibration, something that people typically experience every day no matter what. The worries about this is carpal tunnel, hand and arm vibration syndrome, and vibration white finger, otherwise known as HAVS or VWF for those two. I'm going to start off with a story. There was a man, a plumber, who came into the doctor's office that I read online, and this guy has been using an average amount of power tool use, so about 20 hours a week is pretty average for labor. Plumbers and carpenters and electricians, it's just an average number, is 20 hours. And this guy was complaining about a numbness and kind of that pins and needles tingly feeling in his hand, but except it wouldn't go away after a little bit. Because of this prolonged and repeated use of these tools without proper care has caused him to restrict the blood flow in his hand, and he actually had to get his fingertips removed, all because he wasn't looking out and double checking for his hands to be good when he was done using a power tool or during use of a power tool. So when you're using these power tools, you should really look out for how your hand is feeling and fingertips and all these things, because as soon as you get that tingly pins and needles feeling, it's kind of a sign to maybe slow down, maybe go to a different thing on the job, have somebody else step in or something like that. So an example of this would be when I was working residential construction on a house. We had to take out about a cubic foot of concrete in this foundation of this house to get to this electrical wire that we wanted to get to, because this guy was coming later today to finish wiring this house, but we had covered it in concrete, literally. But problem is we didn't have a jackhammer on site with us, and I don't think we actually even owned one at the time because we weren't used to concrete work. So we had to use a hammer drill to get out this cubic foot of concrete. So our plan was kind of just to drill a few holes and then try and sledgehammer out the rest, which is already just an extremely slow process that took hours. But I started off hammer drilling, and I made about 2-3 holes. And remember, this thing is about probably 10 inches thick, so this is not an easy, just fly through it hammer drill a hole. It takes about a few minutes to get through this damn thing. And over time, even just a few minutes after one hole, I felt my hands and there's pins and needles and tingling, and it's like, oh my gosh. So actually what we ended up doing, which is a great preventative way to avoid this kind of thing, is this syndrome and this white finger and carpal tunnel, is we had 4 guys on the site, and we would just rotate. Every time a guy made 2-3 holes, and depending on how he felt with his hands and arms, we would switch off if he wasn't feeling too great, and then just keep on going to the next guy and rotate as we do other things on the site. Another big thing is in Wisconsin, Minnesota area is the cold weather in the morning. This is a big deal because cold weather already, it slows down your cardiovascular system because it cools your blood and starts moving slower. This, on top of vibration, just accelerates this process that can lead to these problems quicker. So a thing to do maybe in the morning is throw on some gloves, keep your hands warmer. There is also gloves. These are special gloves, but gloves that absorb the vibration, the shocks from the vibration a little more. Another thing is smoking. Smoking restricts blood flow in your whole entire body. Being aware of tool use is very important. Like, for example, if you don't need to use one tool that maybe vibrates more than another, just because you want to, look out for your hands, literally. I mean, you don't want it to be you, all because you're working every day and you have no idea all of a sudden you have to amputate your fingertips. So I have some tools here So here's your basic power drill. I mean, it's kind of hard to show on video, but just make sure you're not gripping these things extremely hard, because when you're gripping these things extremely hard, your hand is absorbing that vibration more. So grip it a little loosely and let that tool do the work rather than, forcing it to do the work. Let that tool do the work. And then what I've kind of gone through a couple times is just limit that use of vibrational tools. And then another big thing is actually maintain your equipment. These dull tools and these tools that their operating system doesn't work as well is only going to make it worse and make that vibration effect harder on your hands and arms. So that is pretty much all I got. So today on their job site, be aware of how you're using tools that include vibration, and let's keep our fingertips.